Jalen Suggs was only able to play 3 games of Summer League action, but he already showed Magic fans a glimpse of what's to come. This is Floor and Ceiling, let's break him down. The Orlando Magic got one of the steals of the 2021 draft by selecting Jalen Suggs at number 5. Suggs was widely projected as a surefire top 4 pick ahead of the draft, but now he has the chance to be a culture changer in Orlando. Like in my first Jalen Suggs video, let's start out with him in transition. Suggs was once again dangerous here in Summer League ball. The former Gonzaga guard just has a knack for pushing the pace out of defensive rebounds and then taking it all the way down the other end of the floor. Suggs is a powerful athlete in the open court with quickness, burst, and a good handle. He can finish through contact, and like I said when he played for the Bulldogs, I expect this to continue in the NBA. Generally speaking, I think that Suggs sort of picked up where he left off in the spring. Watch here as he gets the mismatch, punishes the switch on the physical short drive, and then finishes cleverly even through the bump. Suggs will be a mismatch for many guards in the NBA. He is a physical specimen that is not afraid to get his hands dirty, such as here with the strong post-up move. Suggs is an instant threat whenever he gets downhill. As I will get into shortly, he definitely still has room for improvement, but I expect him to figure it out eventually. In Las Vegas, Suggs made more than half of his shots at the basket. He can get into the paint at will using his strong first step, and then go into his defender's chest to create space or get the foul call. But like I said, Suggs can still get better at the rim. The problem he showed in Summer League action is the same one that was on display at Gonzaga. Suggs is a terrific athlete who, as I've been saying, has a strong frame and a very good first step, but the thing is, he can sometimes rely on those physical tools too much. Right now, Suggs lacks nuance at the basket. A lot of the time, he gets by using the things that I just mentioned, but that is not always going to be the case, especially now that his level of competition has taken a step up in the NBA. Suggs can be guilty of just putting his head down and trying to batter his way to a layup. In Summer League ball, he definitely did not have as easy of a time as in college. I thought Suggs struggled a bit pacing himself to the rim. He sometimes held the ball too long, got into weird angles, or slowed down just enough to let his defender get back into the play. Suggs made about 41% of his field goals in Las Vegas, down from 50% at Gonzaga. As expected, there will be an adjustment curve, but I still want Suggs to add a more reliable in-between game to his arsenal. One thing to watch from Suggs in the NBA was always going to be his pull-up. In the Summer League, I think the results were pretty much par for the course. Suggs shot 34% from 3 at Gonzaga and converted on 36% of his triples for Orlando. The free throw numbers were also incredibly similar. As I've previously said, Suggs is probably going to end up being a solid or even good 3-point shooter. He can still get better, yes, but he has solid mechanics, decent touch and range, and most importantly, the confidence to let the ball fly. Suggs is not afraid to pull up when defenses go under screens, which will be key for him. If you give Suggs space, he has no problem uncorking a deep 3 or a mid-range jumper. The most noteworthy thing to mention, I think, is that Suggs took about 5 threes per game in the Summer League, about 1.5 more attempts than in college. This was good to see since the NBA is trending towards guards shooting a high volume of outside shots. Suggs should be no exception eventually, especially on a Magic team that is not packed with shooting. Even if he only hovers around this 36% mark, I think that will be good enough for Suggs. He is a gamer that can make important shots in decisive moments. Make no mistake about it though, Suggs' shot is still a big swing skill for him. Right now, I find that Suggs is a much better shooter in rhythm than he is on the move. He has lots of room to keep growing as a pull-up shooter, both from 2 and 3. Eventually, you want to get to the point where Suggs is a consistent jumper, rather than it only appearing truly in crunch time. If Suggs does not demonstrate that he can be a respectable shooter, then that complicates the rest of his game. I say respectable rather than passable because I think Suggs truly does need defenses to worry about his shot. Overall, as you may have noticed, all of this goes back to Suggs needing to get better in a half-court setting. Suggs is much more dominant in transition or against a scrambling team than he is against a set defense. To me, this is what has always separated him from the likes of Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, and Evan Mobley. All 3 of those guys have easier avenues to scoring in the half court, be it in the post like Mobley, or with a reliable pull-up game like Cunningham or Green. Suggs is still not there, and that's why I see a lot of similarities to Lonzo Ball. Lonzo was similarly dominant in college, but that has not quite translated in the same ways to the NBA. Evidently, it is still too early to tell with Suggs, but such a scenario is not out of the realm of possibilities in my opinion. He will need to get much better at creating his own shot more consistently. I'll explain more a bit later, but Suggs' half-court woes are why I was disappointed to not see him off the ball a bit more. Suggs still found some other ways to impact the game without the ball in his hands, such as by cutting or with his typical offensive rebounding. For example, watch this big tip dunk here. However, the former Bulldog had the ball in his hands a lot more than at Gonzaga and generally played as Orlando's primary ball handler. Passing-wise, I thought the Summer League was a mixed bag for Suggs, but let's start with the good. There is no doubt for me that Suggs was one of the most talented passers in his draft class. He was clearly very skilled in transition, but I thought his half-court passing went underrated. He can clearly pass against a set defense despite not really being able to create his own offense. First of all, Suggs can really cause problems for the opposition by getting into the paint and then from there making a decision. Again, it goes back to that powerful first step, but then also his mature decision making comes into play. Once Suggs has 2 feet deep inside the opponent's half, he can do a few things. Either Suggs kicks it out and generates a good look from 3, such as on this pass here, or once again in this clip here as he finds the 3 against Cleveland, or Suggs can be clever on the inside, such as with this read under the basket. Suggs ended his Las Vegas Summer League averaging 2.3 assists per game to 2.3 turnovers. In other words, he assisted once for every time he turned the ball over. Again, there's no need to read too much into this, but I was definitely left wanting a little bit more out of Suggs' playmaking. You can kind of dismiss the assist numbers by pointing to the fact that Suggs created good looks most of the time and his teammates just weren't knocking them down. Fair enough, but I also thought Suggs was a little sloppier than I expected. This was not shocking per se, since playing in the NBA means the athletes are better, the margins are smaller, and the windows are tighter, but Suggs definitely experienced this. Defensively, it's often tough to evaluate a prospect in the Summer League, but I thought Jalen Suggs mostly did alright and actually had some pretty bright moments. Again, this is not a surprise. Suggs was one of the premier guard defenders in college basketball, but it can sometimes take a bit to see that translate to an NBA court. Suggs has excellent hands and anticipation on this side of the basketball. He is quick getting into defenders, getting deflections, and just making plays. I think Suggs has the tools to be very good on the ball, but also wreak havoc away from it almost as a free safety. Watch this typical play from him here as Suggs gets the steal on one end, takes the ball all the way, and comes up with the goofy finish. Going back to what I said about Suggs on the ball, he had some nice moments in Las Vegas. Suggs has the athletic means to stay in front of and really bother attackers. He can get down in a stance, slide, and cause problems with his active hands. Suggs even had some nice moments guarding the pick and roll, such as here where he sees the screen coming, gets the steal, and then earns free throws down the other end. In particular, I thought Suggs had a really bright defensive game against the Golden State Warriors. He was physical, engaged, and really came up with some big moments. For example, watch here as Suggs not only bothers the drive, but then gets back in front of the play to come up with the block. Or here Suggs gets over the screen cleanly, keeps up with the ball handler, and gets the steal. It was also nice to see the flashes of rim protection that Suggs offers. He already displayed this skill set at Gonzaga, but it was once again on show in the Summer League. Suggs' 3 blocks came against the Warriors, such as on this huge play down the stretch of the game, or in this play as he stops the 2-on-1 fast break through sheer effort and intelligence. However, I thought Suggs showed enough rotating and altering shots even when he was not necessarily getting the block. At this point, I think it's fair to say that these signs of rim protection are a part of Suggs' game, and I look forward to seeing them in the league. In terms of things that Suggs could do better, the first thing I should say is that they are all fixable. For example, it's a small but important detail here to not go under the screen versus Peyton Pritchard despite the miss. Suggs also struggled at times dealing with movement off the ball. He got caught ball watching on a few occasions, and that is just something he will get better at by playing through it. Suggs' defensive motor could also fluctuate. He was not always in a stance or as engaged as you would hope in the Summer League, but obviously you cannot expect a rookie to have a perfect defensive game. So after seeing the first glimpses of Suggs on defense in the Summer League, I can confirm, I remain very high on his defensive projection. Okay, so for the most part, I think that Jalen Suggs sort of had the Summer League that was expected from him. Obviously, I wish we had gotten to see a bigger sample size before that thumb injury sidelined him, But overall, I thought it was a pretty positive experience for him in Las Vegas. The biggest thing that I was watching for from Suggs going, from college at Gonzaga to the NBA, now for the Orlando Magic, at first it was going to be his shot. But I think he pretty much, lived up to expectations in the summer league. 34% from 3 in college, 36% from 3 in the NBA, well, in the summer league. And, I think the only big difference there was the volume of 3-point shots. Like I said in the video, I did like that. I liked the increase in that. But obviously, this is going to be something that we will have to continue monitoring over the next few months as we get a bigger sample size of what Suggs is all about in Orlando. Quickly going back to his defense for a second, again, I think he pretty much, did what he was supposed to do. Suggs is going to be a really good defender on and off the ball at the NBA level, and at the Summer League, he had a few lapses here and there, but he's a rookie, he has to take time to adjust, and overall, I have no long-term concerns about him on this end of the floor. What did surprise me a little bit about Suggs in the Summer League was his playmaking, which, I mentioned the 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, not great, obviously, but again, obviously you can kind of look at the passes that he was making, the reads that he was executing, and then just the fact that his teammates weren't knocking down a lot of the shots that he was producing. And that's what happened with his assists. But in terms of turnovers, I gotta say, I think he did a little bit worse than I expected. Suggs, he really will need to tighten up his passing. He won't be able to just drive into the paint, jump stop, or jump up and then try to find a solution from there. He will really have to work on executing those reads, on tightening everything, especially for the Magic. I thought that the roster makeup for their Summer League team was very interesting, with Suggs, with Cole Anthony, and with RJ Hampton. All of these guys, depending on how you kind of feel about them, they're all highly touted or were highly touted point guards or guards at some point. Now, with Anthony, I think he's more of an undersized 2. He's really a guy who can get his own bucket, but I would not trust him at all running my team's offense. With RJ Hampton, a similar situation kind of plays out. I think that he's underrated and he had a really good second half of the season last year. But RJ Hampton, when you really, think about it, he's a 2 or a 3 more so than a 1. That meant that Suggs was really running the point in the Summer League. And, the playmaking responsibilities fell on his shoulders. He could have done a little bit better, but I'm interested in seeing how he will adjust to playing potentially off the ball once he links up with Markelle Fultz. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to leave a comment, tell me what you think of Jalen Suggs, what you thought of his Summer League ball, and of course, if you want to see any other guys from the Summer League. And if you enjoy the video, if you enjoy the channel, if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.